So, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the practices. My name is Shanté, Paradigm Smalls, and I am in New York last night, late last night. After a long day of travel with my dog, it's a short flight from Atlanta to New York, but I had a layover in London, so flights. But really great about that. Somewhat, not so much the flying aspect, the new protocols, and some of us were following them and some people weren't. I saw a lot of people wearing masks on their chin. Not sure what that was supposed to help, but is the kind of taking in the paucity and this spaciousness of the emptiness of the airport and the airports. So Atlanta, Boston Logan, and then JF. And all of us wearing masks and spaced out on the plane, and it's a really interesting experience. So really grateful to have arrived home safely in front of my shrine, the shrine, and being in my just less than 24 hours, and feeling the sunlight in my apartment and the Prospect Park across the street. And we stayed feet from each other when I was coming back from getting some groceries, and I felt a sense of pleasure at the familiar, even though New York City, it's interesting because there is has been so much suffering and death. Just one of my neighbors died just a week or so ago, and a child, she was around 15 or 16. Her family live on the other wall, and every day, and so it's not that this is easy. There are many people suffering here and elsewhere, and at the same time, I am experiencing my own sense of relief at being home and feeling like I can weather the storm here. So tonight I'd like to offer a practice that's somewhat based on kind of visualization. Also, it's an embodiment. And so first I'd like us to sit together and ground in shamatha, vipassana, ground in peaceful abiding awareness. And I'd like to offer a practice that's about calling in our lineage, our ancestors, our people who we feel help and protect us. And it's a way working with whatever's arising for us, and then also offering that out. So there's nothing special you have to do or know. You can be laying down or sitting. I'm sitting on a cushion, or you can be standing or walking. But first, we're going to just feel into our body. Experiencing whatever's arising in our body. Whether there may be pain or tension or aches or relaxation or looseness, whatever it is, just feeling whatever you're feeling without trying to change it or diagnose it. Just it might just be like, oh, in forehead, or dry throat, or loose hips or something. Coming into this muscle that sometimes is hard for us to be in, for some of us, just to the best of your ability, feel what's arising. Then doing the same your state, feeling what's in your emotions. It may not be a word, it may be a direction, up, down, middle. You may feel relaxed, you may feel clenched, vacillate between emotions. But see if you can stay with whatever is arising and not try to escape from it or try to master it, but actually befriend it or get curious about it. And then bringing that same quality to our minds, feeling into the quality of your mind. Are you feeling sluggish or up, or lots of thoughts, or medium amount of thoughts? Whatever it is, just being able to attempt to be with that body, emotions, and mind. Coming into a feeling of your body breathing. Can open. The gaze should be soft, whether they're open or closed. Sense of relaxation in your lower body that is grounding into the earth. Feeling your feet and your seat. That arising like a majestic tree or flower. Allowing the natural curve of your spine to happen and letting your body drape over that central sort of like channel that runs through your body. Imagining your a golden bamboo rod. It's flexible, it's brilliant, and it is strong, rooting into the earth and your neck and through the top of your head. It's a china, allowing you to relax even more. And feeling your body breathing. Relaxing the front of your body, softening it, and letting your body be upright. And the posture helps us to provide a place for our experience to rest. So the posture should be not too tight and not too loose. but just right so that your consciousness can and your feeling state can relax and experience. The feeling of your body as it breathes. And as body breathing, I want you to begin to call upon the original people of the land you sit upon. And if you don't know the name of the nation, tribe, or peoples, you can just call on an image or call on them to come to you, their spirit, their energy in the land. So where I am now is Lenape, traditional Lenape territory, Brooklyn, also Canarsie tribe and nation. And we do that to call upon the experiences of people who have lived here for hundreds of years, where you are. And we call upon their wisdom, their laughter, their sorrow, call them into be with us because they're already here. Calling upon those who came after, who were perhaps, depending on where you are in the world, they came unwillingly, they were forced, they were trafficked. There were humans who were trafficked and enslaved, forced to labor, even here in Lenape and Canarsie territory. There's a long history of human trafficking and enslavement of Africans in the New World. And I call upon those beings who worked and loved and were already north, but had to figure out how to get free, and who built communities. Calling upon those who came here from other places, either because of war or displacement or for work or for supposed better opportunity or for many, many reasons, who came to Turtle Island, North America, for religious freedom, for freedom to pursue education, for freedom from certain kinds of gender-based violence, from freedom from queer and trans antagonism, freedom to unionize. Calling upon those people who may be relatives, friends, neighbors, calling them in to your space. Where I live is, after it was taken from the Lenape, it was a Dutch settlement. And then it's been for the last maybe 80 or so years, a Caribbean, West Indian neighborhood with also a lot of African diasporic immigrants, or continental African immigrants. Some Black Americans, and now more Arab, Middle Eastern, Central American, some Southeast Asian, and also Hasidic communities. Calling into the room people who you consider ancestors, whether they are relatives or kin or people you've read. So I have Harriet Tubman and James Baldwin candles burning on my shrine, and a picture of Harriet Tubman on my ancestor shrine. Calling those people in whose books you read and made you feel seen, or whose songs you heard, or whose poetry, dance, sermons, whatever it is, calling in those people who you consider to be part of your lineage of strength and resource. And calling in any people living or no longer on this plane who support and help you, who love you, any beings, humans, plants. And imagining that you're all in a circle together, this large, countless, infinite number of beings who love you. Some are next to you, some are behind you, some are facing you. And whatever is arising in your experience, you can let that happen, whatever visuals or sounds you might hear or things you might see. Just know that that's the presence of loving, compassionate beings, past, present, and future, who want you to be safe, sane, and healthy. They are holding you. They've got your back, your front, your sides, your top, your bottom. And as you're sitting in this circle of care, call to mind or call to your experience something that feels difficult for you right now. It can be specific or it can be more general. And call that to mind and bring that experience of difficulty, fear, anxiety, sickness, uncertainty, loneliness, worry, unemployment, housing insecurity, food scarcity, whatever it is, a personal problem or something that you're concerned about in the world, bring that to mind and bring it into your heart center. And let your heart center envelop it. And then release it into the circle of care, letting the ancestors of the land, the migrants, the formerly enslaved, the indigene, the incarcerated, the ones you love, your ancestors, letting them witness it and dissolving it with our breath. letting your sorrow be seen and witnessed and held, letting yourself be seen, witnessed, and held by people and beings who love you, who care for you, who want nothing but your safety, sanity, and health. Bring to mind, bring to your experience a situation that feels medium. It's not maybe scary and it's not joyful, but it may be something that's on your mind. So maybe it's something like, you're worried about a friend or a relative or a neighbor. It's a medium worry. You're worried about maybe next month or 2 weeks from now. Like those plans you had this summer, are they going to happen? So a medium worry. It's not something that's immediate. It's not something that's dire, but has come up. And bring that experience, pull it right into your heart center. Center of your being that is filled with light, strength, stability, and clarity. Bring that situation into your heart. And let the breath, as you're breathing, transform that situation, not fix it, but just work with it. Letting the worry dissolve as you breathe it out. Letting your circle of care witness it and dissolve it even more for you. They're reminding you that they're with you, they're with us, caring for us, there to help. And even when we're experiencing loneliness, we're not alone. Bring a situation, a joyful situation, a happy feeling, a happy thought, happy news, good news, your own or someone else's. Bring that to mind. Pulling that into your heart. Letting it fill your heart with its sensation. Could be something you ate and really enjoyed. It could be a walk you took. It could be conversation with your partner. It could be something your animal did. It could be the sky. It could be a memory. It could be a TV show, anything, something that brought you true joy, pleasure, happiness. Let your heart be filled with that experience. And then breathing that out into the world, letting your circle of care witness that and experience that too. And then slowly letting your circle, starting with the outermost circle, if you have multiple concentric circles, begin to dissolve into space, thanking them, saying goodbye for now, knowing that you can call on them at any point, letting your circles begin to dissolve into space, into light, and then into space. However they're saying goodbye to you, letting them say goodbye to you. And letting that light come into your heart. And then sending that light out 360 degrees from every part of your being, your awakened Bodhisattva Buddha body that is glowing and sending out and dissolving and healing the entire world, the entire cosmos. Back into your body, into the here and now. And we'll just rest in space for a few moments. Not trying to do anything with the breath, but just resting in space, what we've created. If it's all right with you all, I'd like to close the meditation with auspicious verses. It's actually a little song, a little Buddhist song. And it's a supplication to Padmasambhava or Padmakara or Guru Rinpoche. He has many names. He was the founder, I guess you could say, he brought Buddhism to Tibet from India. And he was a great awakened being who was compassionate and kind and fierce. And so there's this traditional Tibetan Buddhist 7-line supplication to Padmasambhava, Padmakara rather, and it in times like of plague and war and famine, this is one of many supplications that one can do, many people do, to invoke helpful beings. So I'll just do it once. So I've done it already a few times today. So first, let me just read it to you before I sing it. So the first word is a seed syllable, hum, and hum, H-U-M, line over the U, is syllables are like, it's like bouillon, teachings in bouillon, like all the teachings in a one word. So a lot of beings have these different C syllables, ki, hum, om, ri, bio, and they're teachings in themselves, but they're also pithy. They're meant to invoke the um, spirits or deities, and whom it's very powerful. So, for instance, om is the seed syllable of humanity. So, whom in the northwest of the land of Uriana, on a blooming lotus flower, you have attained supreme wondrous city. You are renowned as Padmakara. Surrounded by your retinue of many dakinis, we practice following your example. Please approach and grant your blessing. Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. So now I'll sing it for you. Hum. In the northwest of the land of Uddiyana, on a blooming lotus flower, you have attained supreme wondrous city. You are renowned as Padmakara, surrounded by a retinue of many dakinis. We practice following your example. Please approach and grant your blessing. Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. So I'd like to open it up for any questions you might have or experiences you'd like to share, or any thoughts. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. You can either let me unmute your mics. So you can so I'll mute you now again, and you are allowed to unmute yourselves, or you can ask a question in the chat, or say whatever you like in the chat. Was that helpful for anyone, that practice, or do you have any questions about what we did or anything like that? Here for you. Oh, glad to hear that, John. I do want to say that my experience with as a meditator Okay, hold on. Yes, I will. Yes. Is that any practice you do, whether it's sitting meditation or walking meditation or more chanting or calligraphy or uh, body-based practices, is that is hmm, I don't know exactly how to say this. It's from my experience is that these practices help build resilience is not quite the word. They help build stability, clarity, and strength of body, speech, and mind, and emotions. And so it's not that I don't experience fear, worry, doubt, loneliness. It's that those experiences I treat as friends. I treat as invitations to learn, even though many times I don't want to. Earlier today, I was practicing and I've been made a commitment to do a certain practice in the morning and then a certain practice at night. And during the day, I try to do a Tara practice, white Tara, she's a being that's a incredibly compassionate being born from a tear from Avalokiteshvara after his head was chopped off. Anyway, it's a whole story. And white Tara, who's the only female Buddha, but has many, many, many emanations, both peaceful and wrathful. I guess the Buddha said to make do with the one woman, but she is you call upon her to help with sickness, with travel, with any difficulty. And the female deities actually also, the wrathful ones are also said to be the ones who release plague. And so we have to call on them and supplicate them because they're trying to get our attention. That's one of the worldviews in Vajrayana Tibetan Buddhism. So at night I do a practice to the female deities, and I didn't want to do my Tara practice. I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I was like, come on, don't be late. It's one mala, you can do it. And then I felt a sense of like, oh, right, that's what I was supposed to do. So these experiences, my human experiences, I treat as my teacher, like from the mundane of stubbing my toe or being annoyed with people who don't understand like what 6 feet is. I don't know why people don't know what 6 feet is, but I experience a lot of annoyance around that. Those are opportunities for me to practice rather than beat myself up and think I'm failing. It's like, oh, that kind of stuff gets my attention. And I notice, okay, I need to work on my internal spaciousness so that I don't have to be so rigid. And I can just move when the person is, and I can just wait. I do in the grocery store. People are, doing all kinds of things. I can just wait and create space. So these practices are magical, but they're not like a magic bullet, They produce the ability to stay with whatever's arising. So this question, Jahan, you had about calling in the ancestors. Yeah, so I have I have a few shrines. Let me just show you. So my main shrine is my ancestor shrine. So that has the ashes of my dog, Tilo, who died in 2018. It has some Florida water. Harriet Tubman, who I just feel is like my bodhisattva, one of the most enlightened beings who's ever lived that I know about. I have some elements of the earth, so wood, there's some seeds, there's a crystal ball, there's a Buddha, my mother who died, a picture of her, some water that's blessed with the Florida water and some shells, and then Beyonce. And I have some poetry, calligraphy poetry, and religious text. Nope, it's a tamala in there. And then a thing called a vajra or kila or a dorje. And so that's my ancestor shrine, and it's to help me to connect with my lineage and kin and ancestors in terms of their wisdom and their power and their strength, and that we're connected, that we're not disconnected. We're connected across time and space, even if some of them are living, some of them are dead. I think, except for Beyonce and my grandmother, everyone on this shrine is, yes, Beyonce is very important to me. Everyone except for Beyonce and my grandmother are others have passed on to the other next realm. And then above that is my practice shrine, which is more my religious shrine. So it has the lineage holders of my the Shambhala lineage. I'm no longer part of the Shambhala organization, but I am still in the lineage. So Trungpa Rinpoche, Sakya Rinpoche, and then different elements for sight, sound, smell, taste. Sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Those are all represented. And then whatever, water, tea, and then Amrita. So some people use alcohol. I don't drink, so I have water with Florida water. And then I have books, Dharma books, Dharma books, Dharma books, Dharma books. And then here I have a protector shrine. So that's a Mahakala, or fierce protector being, and then that's a Tibetan warrior named Gesar of Leng, who was a real person, who was a king. And then I have my Buddhist shrine over here with, it's a lot of shrines, I'll say more, with the Buddha there, and then 2 bodhisattvas, Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of compassion, and Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom. And then this is a thing called an ashe, which is like a energy, like the same in like Candomblé or Yoruba or Ifa. And so it's really about ancestors or lineage or kin, that we call on those helpful people to be with us. And it's a way of reminding us that the separation we have between, you know, unborn, born, and dead is not as, it's not as solid as we like to believe, and that these energies, and we all, you know, we've all probably experienced energy. You walk into a place and it feels good, or it feels icky, or it feels dead, or something. Are here to be invoked, to be invited in, and it doesn't have to be anything, you know, cuckoo or witchy or anything. It's just calling people's names. Like I just sometimes talk to my mom, and I can feel her presence, you know, or sing a song that she loved or something. And so it's about calling in these beings are wisdom beings once they pass on. And so it's about protection, compassion, help, strength, and stability. It's a reminder that I come from people who have survived so much and who have wisdom to teach me, and who have taught me. Some of them have taught me directly. And so sometimes when I particularly over the last 2 months, since the end of February, have really been working with loneliness as my main challenge. I don't feel bored. I don't feel particularly frustrated. I get to get outside. I have a dog. I get to go ahead. Loneliness, particularly when I was in Atlanta. Now that I'm in New York, I don't know if that I'll experience it quite the same way. But loneliness has been the main challenge. And, you know, that has lots of tentacles. What happens sick and I'm in this place where no one, you know. So I've really been working with my loneliness. That means I've been befriending it. I've been bringing it into my heart, and it's been breaking my heart. And that from that heartbroken place, I can experience more strength. And so sometimes it's hard to do that alone. That's why I have to say, you know, Mama Harriet, Uncle Jimmy, you know what I mean? Beyonce, help me. You know, I've got on another wall, I have a picture of uh, Rosa Parks doing yoga. So that's another thing I look at. And it's like it's kind of like similar to how people have pictures of like the Buddha or Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, or Christ, or Martin Luther King, or something. Those are reminders of, even though it seems like it's a separate person, it's like a reflection of qualities we'd like to have. And so we can bring those people to our minds and to our mind's eye and invite them in, helpful beings, the beings of the earth that we're on, or like the dralas, right? To help us in this journey, because they've experienced plague, famine, war, calamity. And there's a lot of confusion right now about many, many things. And so a lot of confusion, a lot of aggression, a lot of ignorance. And so it's important to call on the wisdom as far back as we can, like the wisdom of that person or those people who first discovered how to make fire from nothing, from flint, from stones and some and having some tinder, or the people who figured out how to a circle could help with labor. Calling back the wisdom of all of our lineages, so that we're not cut off. And part of this time period, particularly in the West, and maybe most particularly in North America, and most poignantly in the United States, is that there's a lot of erasure of wisdom, and everything is so presentist. And it's like human beings have experienced crisis across time, across place, and intensity. And that's why there are practices that every culture, every nation, every people have for these times and other times. And I think sometimes the isolation that comes with capitalism and with speed and modernity teaches us that we can't have a relationship to ancient wisdom as well as being great people. I mean, I got my AirPods on, but I call on my ancestors too. So it's dissolving this duality. There's me, and then there's something else. Instead, it's reminding myself that I am in this chain or this circle of beings, and one day I'll be an ancestor. And I'm training right now with how I live my life, and other people trained with how they live their lives, and they're passing. Even if like my mom is really important to me, and when she was alive, she was a little bootleg sometimes. But she also had so much wisdom, but it was frustrated by a lot of conditions of the world. But when she died, there was freedom, and our relationship continued and continues. And she's not, I don't always feel her, but especially when I'm practicing, especially when I'm in retreat, especially when I'm in deep meditation practice, she is like right there. My mom was a devout evangelical Christian, loved Jesus, all this stuff. And our relationship really deepened actually when I became more religious as a Buddhist. And there was just a kind of a connection that had nothing to do with I would say it didn't have to do with theology, but had to do with a sensitivity and a sensibility about working with what arises. So, the ancestor practice really is up to you. I have taught weekends on like working with ancestors, lineage, and kinship. And maybe at some point I'll do that again, online, or Monday in person. Who knows when that would be. Because it is, we all have that ability, and it's just about giving us each tools to do that work. thanks for that question. Are there any other questions for me? Well, friends, I just want to say that next Wednesday on Mondays, Ashley Dinges does the Learn to Meditate, which is just working with shamatha, peaceful abiding meditation. So working with posture and breath and gaze and all that stuff if you want to freshen up or just practice for half an hour or so. So that's free too. So every Monday in May, she'll be doing that. Every Friday in May, I'll be doing this. We'll see. We'll see if we continue it in June. But on Wednesday, we have our regular programming, and I'm really excited. Next Wednesday is an amazing teacher, Devin Barry, who's a Theravadan teacher out of the Spirit Rock tradition, the Insight tradition. So he's West Coast Bay Area dude, and he's just an amazing teacher. So if you can't catch it live on Wednesday at 7 p.m., as all these things are, it'll be recorded, and I hope you can join us. We have a pretty good lineup this month. I'm teaching, and another woman, Karen Brown, who's a somatic body worker, is teaching on the 20th, and I forgot who's teaching at the end of the month. But it's a really, really good group of people. So I hope you join us. So please stay safe, sane, and healthy. And see you next time, everyone. You're welcome.